Welcome back, friends. Task 2 in Domain 6, manage impediments, risks, and issues. So we decided to go with the PMI speak and just flesh it out to cover all the possible language that they used in this domain. You got impediments. You heard what Roy said. We sometimes in PMI world will call it issues. Impediments and issues are things happening. Risks are things that could happen. So what are we trying to do? Identify threats, negative risks, that is, and issues that are happening right now. How? By educating and engaging the team at various points in the project. Why do we want to do this? In order to resolve them at the appropriate time and improve processes that caused issues. Now, Roy, I have questions about this. What do they mean by at various points? What are those points?
Yeah, there's actually lots of different places that you can do it. One of them is formal. And that formal opportunity is the retrospective, right? So we can build some learning into it. We can talk with each other. There's another formal opportunity, and that's the review set, or the refinement session. So in refinement, that's where they get to ask questions, and they might have subject matter experts that are helping explain things, the product owner explaining requirements, things like that. So those are kind of more formal opportunities. But there's also those informal opportunities. Maybe we want to do some spike work, right? Go do some experimentation inside the sprint. Maybe we want to do some pairing. So that's where we've got two people working together on the same problem. Part of the side effect, part of the benefit of doing pairing is that you're learning along the way. So these are great opportunities to get people to learn new things. And when we're learning new things, it's not just about upskilling the individual. It's also reducing risk on a project. And one of the reasons that reduces risk is because now we've got more people that can do the same thing. I don't have that individual person as the only person that can do something. Now I've got a whole team that at least understands it and could try to do it. Maybe not as well as the primary subject matter expert, but at least they could do it. So think about how that helps you reduce risk on your overall project. Now you can sort of do some self-leveling in the team and spread the workload around, not always going to the one person, right, Phill?
Gotcha, Roy. Very good. Now, what about other types of Agile, like flow-based Agile, where they don't have as many formal ceremonies as in the world of Scrum? Would this be on a day-by-day basis or what?
Yeah, it really is. So in flow-based, like Kanban, as an example, you don't typically have a formal retrospective necessarily. That meeting doesn't really exist. You typically do it, right? There's a quality review, things like that. You can call them what you want to. Basically, it's a retrospective, right? But the concept with Kanban is a true adherence to Kaizen. And Kaizen is continuous improvement, not periodic improvement. So at any point in time, when you're following Kanban, a flow-based approach, you see something wrong, you raise your hand, you fix it, right? You see something going on, you need to learn something new, you do it right there. So you don't wait for the formal opportunities, you do it throughout the whole process, and it's expected. You're going to raise your hand and ask for help and go fix problems together, right?
Makes sense. Thank you, Roy. All right, well, that's it. One more question about this, Roy, is in PMI's Agile Practice Guide, they have this, I don't know whether it's a suspicious word, but I'm like, here they go again, making stuff up, but I don't know. It's called an impediment board. I know an impediment log, but is an impediment board just like putting impediments on the storyboard or what?
Yeah, you can do it a bunch of different ways, and there are different terms for it as well. That's again, it's kind of a PMI kind of description. I've called them action boards. I just take the impediments and I put them on my storyboard, right? So they can see them. If something is blocked, I'll change the color of the card so I can see it right there. So you don't necessarily have to do a separate activity for it. You can just put it as as part of your regular work as well. But I do also, here's when I use the action board concept. So an action board is basically a Kanban board, right? That's basically what it is, a separate Kanban board. But it only has risks and impediments. That's all it's got on it. And not just impediments, risks and impediments. So we group them together, right? So we group them together. You know my phrase, Phill, right? Risks are impediments waiting to happen, right? So they're very, very closely related to each other. So one of the things I like to do is build an action board for leadership. So it's not the team that's necessarily working that board. These are the things that we need escalated from the team that the team can't fix themselves. So we need leadership to do it. And I want leadership to take ownership of those actions. I want it visible. I want them meeting on a regular basis and taking ownership and working those impediments so that the whole organization can then be more effective, not just an individual team. And an action board has the thing that needs to be resolved, either a risk or an impediment. It has the actions that are being taken, right? So what things am I doing? And as an owner, so who owns this thing? Which leader is owning it? And the current status, where are we with this thing? So it has the basic information. It's basically a status report of all the risks and impediments that are owned by leadership, not just by the teams, right?
Gotcha, Roy. Thank you very much. That's helpful. Yeah, because PMI, they've got all this language in here. So let's hear from any of our students on the call who remembers the right process or procedure for impediments. If you wanted to describe a flow chart or logic flow for how impediments are realized and managed, and mentioning some key events, if that. Does anyone want to take that question? Can you describe how the impediment flow would happen? Come on now. Now let me start calling people out.
Take a stab at it. You can be wrong. It's okay.
Some of you got like 7 letters behind your name. Some of you 10. Come on now. Cricket.
Okay, we're going to dive in.
Thank you.
I'm here to represent all the wrong answers, and that's okay.
That's okay.
We've got to do it. So in terms of impediments, I'm just kind of thinking when you actually are, when you have to call it out, meet with your group, whether it's the, well, it's not just the retrospective, because you can have it kind of happen throughout, but I'm just thinking of whether you're the review and a retrospective, when you need to identify and, find the resolution for it. So that's the wrong answer. So come on, team.
That's okay.
Let's fix this.
But you know what, April, you tried. You put yourself out there. And you know what? Here's the thing. If you're going to be wrong now, right? This is the good time to be wrong.
That's true.
So thank you for putting yourself out there.
Thank you, April.
Yep. Chandra?
I don't know. I'm thinking about the Agile paths, pain points, and troubleshooting possibilities tables that are in the guide. So you're looking at basically making sure that the team's purpose and mission and everything is aligned appropriately, making sure requirements are clear, looking at inaccurate estimations. What was some of the other things? So those are the things that I'm thinking about.
Good.
Removing waste, delays, etc. But I don't think that's what you're asking.
It's all part of it. It's all part of it. Now let's talk.
I also want to say I was a little harsh on April. She was partly right.
She was, yeah.
She was partly right, April. I'm just having some fun with you.
Yeah. So April, you're not wrong. Those are all opportunities. And Roy has covered a lot of these events if you watch the videos. But what is the one event that he keeps hopping on in the videos has been your opportunity to capture them at the source. What is that? What is that event?
One primary event.
Your refinement.
Refinement, or
so it's a meeting that happens often.
Oh, you're doing your daily meetings?
Daily. Next
Why
time we'll
just say that?
No.
Hey, I chimed in to support you. I didn't want to leave you out there by yourself.
Well done. Funny.
Well done.
All right, very good. So that's a great start. So Roy, can you kind of walk us through what a life cycle might look like?
Yeah, absolutely. So the primary formal opportunity to raise impediments is the daily. And the reason is they happen all the time, right? So we don't want to wait until, once a week or at the end of the sprint or something like to do it. We want to do it as soon as they happen. So the formal opportunity best in the daily stand up, but you can raise them even without a meeting, right? Anyone that's got a problem, they recognize it, raise your hand, go talk to somebody and go raise the issue. But the next question is, who do you raise it to? Right. So if you've got an issue, maybe there are two different kinds of impediments. Impediments the team can handle all on their own, and you don't need an escalation. And then there are those the team can handle and need to be escalated. So if the team can handle it, the team member can raise the impediment to the team through the Scrum Master or just directly to the team and go resolve the issue themselves, keeping the Scrum Master and product owner informed, of course. If it needs to be escalated, then we go to the Scrum Master and say, hey, we need help. We need this thing resolved as quickly as possible. And the Scrum Master would then escalate it to the appropriate parties. So we don't go to management to escalate an issue. We go to the Scrum Master, who then may take it to multiple managers. Right? So they are the funnel point to take it out to the rest of the organization. Sound about right, Phill?
Great stuff, Roy. Thank you very much. And just to call everyone's attention back to why we're expanding on this entire domain is about impediments. And that concludes task 2. Now you got a really solid understanding, you know, why they are talked about in the dailies, because like Roy said, could happen anytime. The more eyes and the more time you've got asking that question about, are there any impediments in your way, the better it is. Now, Roy, there's a little variation that we've heard some Agilists talk about. They're like, well, in addition to the impediments, there's also some things that could act as a sail for us, accelerators. So how common is it for people in the daily to talk about the accelerators?
If it comes up, they will. I mean, let's face it, the team is primarily focused on getting work done.
True.
Right? The product owner, you know, they're going to be focusing on those kinds of things, and the team might recognize an opportunity. But let's face the reality. We'd love a team to be thinking about, you know, sales and improving and all that kind of good stuff. They're usually focusing on getting the work done. Right?
True.
So maybe not
That's true. Different strokes for different folks. So the product owner, you're right, would probably have a slant more towards that.
Yeah, exactly.
Good deal. All right. I see a question. We'll take the question as soon as we come back. And that concludes task 2.